Hey everybody, welcome back to the Lightning Bolt Chronicles. It is us, Christina McCrary on Facebook, aka Christina McCrazy on Instagram and TikTok, host of McCrazy's Place podcast on YouTube, and it has an IG and a Facebook, co-host of Thursday Night Live, your weekly dose of foolishness and effery. That streams on various YouTubes and Facebooks, and co-host of the Lightning Bolt Chronicles here on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on our website, thelightningboltchronicles.com. We have a TikTok, a Facebook, and an IG. And my wonderful co-host, please introduce yourself.
Hello, all of my magical friends. I am Erica, co-host of these lovely Lightning Bolt Chronicles, and you can find me on Instagram at PoodleNoodle82. That's all.
I always love the way you say that. All of these podcasts are presented to you by Sarcarrogance Media Group, SMG or SMD. You know what it is. Hey! This is Chronicle 1-2, which is based around Book 1, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Chapter 2, The Vanishing Glass. So what happens in this chapter is it's Dudley's birthday, and he's going to the zoo with his best friend because the Dursleys always take Dudley somewhere for his birthday, and every single year Harry stays with Mrs. Fig because, God forbid, Harry should see anywhere other than home, school, and the cupboard that he sleeps in. So Mrs. Fig calls and says that she has broken her leg and can't keep Harry, and now everyone's in a panic because what are they going to do with Harry? And Harry says, "Oh, you can leave me at home." And they're like, no, we'll come home and the house will be blown up. And then they go through the list of people that he could possibly stay with. And eventually Harry also gets to go to the zoo. And some fun little things happen there. Which I guess we can talk about as we get into the reactions and thoughts, but so the only new character we meet this chapter is Dudley's best friend, Piers Polkiss.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, they mention a few characters that we'll meet later, but Aunt Marge doesn't come in until book 2, and right. Yvonne is some friend of Aunt Petunia's. Mm-hmm. I feel like they said someone else. Who else? Oh, Marge hates the boy. Oh, what about Yvonne? No, Mrs. that was Fig. It was just that, yeah. Right? And Mrs. Fig, yeah.
Of Mrs. Fig.
Yeah. And so they go to the zoo, and Dudley's Dudley, and Pierce is Dudley's friend, and Harry's just trying to enjoy his day of being somewhere other than at school or in his cupboard.
Yep.
So the vanishing glass refers to the fact that when Dudley makes Harry mad, the glass disappears and the snake gets out.
Right. Well,
definitely.
He doesn't know, right? He doesn't know that he's a wizard.
He has no idea.
Things just happen to him.
Typically, when he's upset or stressed, weird things will happen. And right. He doesn't think anything of it. He's just like, wow, I don't know why that happens. That's weird. But he always gets punished for it.
Like a laundry list of things that have occurred to him in his childhood until the present day. And
the haircut.
Right. It's things like that, like the haircut. So um there's the sweater.
Hmm.
Aunt Petunia's trying to fit him into one of Dudley's sweaters, and as we know, Dudley is described as an extremely rotund little boy. And so I would imagine that this sweater is also very, very big. And she's trying to shove Harry in it. And as she's trying to shove the sweater on Harry, the sweater just starts shrinking and shrinking until it can't, like, it cannot possibly fit him. And that's amazing, because that's something that
And
happens to Aunt Petunia, and then she just plays it off like, oh, it must have shrunken in the wash, because
yeah, she
magic
knows.
does not exist.
Right, of course not. And then like the fact that he's super skinny and Dudley's like 4 times bigger than him, but all he wears is Dudley's hand-me-downs. So he
Yeah,
already gets made fun of at school for having baggy clothes. And
yeah,
then she cuts his hair. I think it said it was almost bald except for his bangs to hide that hideous scar on his
right.
forehead. And so he tossed and turned all night being worried about already being made fun of because of his baggy clothes. He wakes up in the morning and his hair is back like it was. And they want an explanation, like he knows. And he's like, I don't know. I don't know how my hair grew back. So
But see, for moments like that, they kind of don't. I feel like they don't want an explanation. Like they just try to brush it under the rug. Like they
well,
chalk it up to something mysterious
so
so that they don't have to.
I think they know, but they know that he doesn't know. And
Yeah,
so the fact that he doesn't know, they're like, okay, he doesn't know. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
yeah, that makes sense. I
Like
mean, they
they
don't want
don't want him to know.
to,
They
right,
told
they
him
don't
his
want to stir the
parents
pot,
died
they
in
don't
a
want to
car
give
crash.
any ideas.
Yeah. And he says that at one point too. Like they think that any like oh, he mentions having a dream about a flying motorbike.
Yeah,
And he thinks he's had the dream before. And they're in the car and Vernon's complaining about the motorcycle riders that are out there. And Harry remembers and he goes, oh, I had a dream about a flying motorbike. And Vernon nearly loses his shit. I mean, loses his mind.
oh,
And he's
he
like,
almost crashes.
motorcycles don't fly. Like, and he says, like, it's almost like they think anything that behaves as it shouldn't is going to give him bad ideas.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
yeah, all this chapter really did was cement again for me what kind of a-holes the Dursleys are, all 3 of them. Because
Yeah,
Dudley throws this huge fit about his birthday presents and how many there are and not being as many as last year. And then
right.
like the fact that oh, he just they're awful people. They're awful people. Just like McGonagall said, they're the worst kind of muggles.
Yeah, well, he's spoiled, right? I mean, they want to, I feel like they want to take focus away from Harry so much that they basically just shift it to Dudley.
But they don't correct him at all or anything. Like he'll do some jerk something, and Uncle Vernon will chuckle and go, "A little tyke."
When he was
Like,
throwing porridge all over the place when he was a baby.
yeah, like, come on. He
Yeah.
needs parents. And then
He
oh, my little giddy kids. Oh
he
my
has
God, there is nothing little.
zero
There's
discipline.
nothing little about your Diddykins.
No. Dinky Diddums. Nothing little.
And then and then he pretends to cry. I don't want him to come to the zoo with us. He ruins everything. And he's not
Oh,
really crying and he shoots Harry a an evil grin underneath Petunia's arm while she's, oh, they're
And then
awful. They are
the
awful.
moment
All three
his
of them.
friend shows up, stops
Yeah.
crying
Yeah.
immediately.
Immediately.
And
Ugh,
it's just like,
just,
oh, let's go to the zoo.
ugh. And then they get to the zoo and they buy Fat Boy and his friend big giant chocolate ice creams, and the only reason Harry gets something is because the lady's like, and for you, before they can stop her, and he
Yeah.
gets like a cheap lemon ice pop. Poor
Yep.
Harry, who never gets anything, is like, it wasn't bad.
Yeah. And you know it's one of those like the ones that never get purchased and probably
Yeah,
has like frostbite on it because it's been sitting in
yeah.
there for so long.
Freezer burn, yep. Because who the hell wants a lemon ice pop?
I don't know. I have a feeling it would be popular on a warm summer's day in Japan
Lemon, though, not
because it's
something.
refreshing. Like you don't want a cream based like dessert
No,
on
but
a
like
cold.
orange or cherry or key lime or strawberry, or nobody wants lemon.
Some people I think do. But I love that Harry was totally into it.
Yeah. I mean, considering the fact he'd never been anywhere before, so he'd never been to the zoo. He
That's
never
so
got
sad.
any treats. Like, just no. Poor Harry.
Yep.
They treated him so bad.
Awful. Awful. Okay,
So,
go ahead.
if we talk about book versus movie,
Yeah.
the snake scene specifically.
Okay.
So I love the snake scene in the book. And like we said, for those who don't know, the vanishing glass refers to an incident that happens at the zoo. So they have lunch and then they go to the reptile house.
Yep.
And Dudley and his friend immediately seek out the biggest snake they can find because
Right.
Dudley and his friend. Um, but the snake is sleeping. And so Dudley's all irritated and, Dad, make it do something. And Dad's knocking on the window, but the snake is paying no attention. And so they get bored and they walk away. And Harry goes over and the snake gets up and winks at him. And Harry winks
Right.
back. And
Yeah.
they are having an exchange where the snake shows Harry the sign saying that he's from Brazil, but bred in captivity and
Oh
whatever,
yeah, he uses
whatever.
his
And
tail to like point.
yeah, yeah. And so they're essentially having a nonverbal conversation
Mhm.
because Harry's asking the snake questions and it's responding by pointing to the sign and things. And then, of course, Pierce and Dudley notice that the snake has responded to Harry. So they come running over and Dudley shoves Harry, which pisses Harry off. And before anybody knows what's happening, the glass keeping the snake disappears. And the snake comes out, slithers away, and as he as he slithers past, he tells Harry, "Thanks, amigo."
Thanks, amigo. And then he's like, Brazil, here I come.
Yeah. Now, in the movie,
Yeah.
the way this is done, Dudley shoves Harry out of the way and he's leaning on the glass. The glass disappears, Dudley falls in, and then the glass reappears. And
Right.
Dudley's stuck inside,
Yeah.
which,
He's the one in captivity.
yeah. Um, so that was the one thing specifically that I thought about that was, oh, and Piers doesn't go with them in the movie. In the movie, it's just
Yeah,
the
there
four
is
of them.
no Pierce in the movie.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that was really the only difference I could think of between the book and the movie.
Yeah, those were the significant differences. Like Pierce was a non-character in the movie. There was no need to have that like extra storyline. And
Yeah,
then the way that they dealt with the vanishing glass because it reappeared. Um, I mean, I like the fact that in the book the glass did not reappear. I mean, it's funny to kind of make Dudley be the one in captivity. Like it has a lot of meaning, hidden meaning behind,
Symbolism.
because Harry's usually the one in captivity, right? But uh, I like the interaction between the snake and Harry much more in the book. But of course,
Okay.
how you present it, right, in the movie to the audience, you have to have a more interesting or like more visually appealing interaction.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But it was such a great interaction in the book.
It really was. It really was. I have a question about afterwards. So it says that the zookeeper, the keeper of the reptile house, was in shock, and he goes, "But the glass," he kept saying. "Where did the glass go?" And then the director himself made Aunt Petunia a cup of strong sweet tea. What does that mean? A cup of strong sweet tea? Like just strong tea? Or did they like spike it?
I feel like they might have spiked it because when they got home, Uncle Vernon like flopped down in the chair and she had to get him a large brandy.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
So
kind of
it's
feel like maybe the tea was a little, maybe it had a little Irish cream in it.
okay. So it was like a driver situation. So Uncle Vern's driving, so he's not drinking at the zoo. But
I
Aunt
kind of
Petunia
feel like that's what
is,
it is.
so she needed a little
I
a
feel like
pause.
that's what it was. Because then
Okay.
Uncle Vernon had to hold himself together until they dropped off Pierce. And then when they got home, he lost it, sat in the chair. She had to run and get him a large brandy. And then he
Yeah,
went off on Harry. No meals. To your cupboard now. No meals.
yeah. Barely able to get it out. Go, covered, stay, no meals.
Yeah, just he had to have a large brandy.
I mean, when you think about it, it there are so many things that as muggles they have to deal with, right? Like if you put yourself in their shoes and you want to believe that magic doesn't exist, even though one of your relatives has magical powers. Uh, it's, I would imagine, putting myself in their shoes, that it's hard, right? Like to,
To be in denial of something that you know for sure is true.
yeah,
It's different if you don't know for sure it's true. Petunia knows for a friggin' fact that it's true. She knows about Hogwarts. She
yeah,
knows.
yeah,
So, it's got to be hard to pretend something I know is true. Is it true? No, you're, girl, girl, not you, Petunia.
no, I know, I know.
Girl.
But I mean, like, they are literally their own stressors. Like, they cause themselves so much stress and so much strife to try to just ignore what exists, ignore
Yeah.
what is
They're so scared someone's going to find out about Harry. And then, like, just, like, Piers and Dudley are in the back seat, and of course, the story is getting bigger and bigger. The snake bit Dudley, and it wrapped itself around Piers, and literally, the snake like walked away. He just went on his way.
Yeah.
Everybody else
Didn't
was
even attack
panicking. But
anybody else,
yeah,
any of the
no,
other people.
he just was like, "Oh, cool, I'm free. Thanks, amigo."
Yeah.
Went on his way. Everybody's screaming and running and carrying on, and he's just going on his way.
Well, I mean, for all of the for all of the magic that they try to stifle and hide, and all of the imagination that they try to stifle and hide, I mean, look at their kid, right? He always tries to make something out of nothing,
Yeah,
cause this, like,
absolutely.
yeah, like
And I guess
imagine
since they don't approve of imagination, they must feel like he's just, you know, he's got to be telling the truth because there's no imagination. I don't know. They're just
yeah.
awful. All three of them.
Yeah.
They're terrible.
I mean, this is where we get to see Dudley kind of start his gang, right?
Yeah.
Like in the older books, we see that he accumulates more croonies in the other books, and in
Yep.
this book, this is Pierce is his first croonie, right? Like his first.
Yep. He holds people's hands behind their back while Dudley hits them.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And
they're all
who's
at
their
the
favorite target?
Harry. Because they're
Yeah,
all at the
exactly.
same school still. So, because that's another thing that happened. Dudley and his gang were chasing him, and he went to jump behind a trash can and finds himself on the roof and doesn't
Well,
know how he
because
ended up there.
the wind must have caught him.
That was the thing. It was so funny. He was like, "Yeah, I must have just the wind must have caught him as he jumped." Like, oh, he's so sweet and innocent,
Yes,
child. The wind is
and
not that
so
strong, darling.
tiny.
Yeah.
Like to think in his imagination that like this could actually be something that would happen.
Well, I mean, he has no basis to think anything different. Everyone
Right.
else knows it. Well, the adult Dursleys know that it's magic, but he has no idea. He doesn't know magic exists. He's just like, why do these weird things keep happening to me?
I know. The haircut is my absolute favorite though. Like,
Oh,
I mean, can you imagine? I mean, we've all had haircuts, right? And some better than others. I'm sure that we've all been a bit displeased with a haircut here and there in our lives, especially like if you have a kind of dramatic haircut or something and you're trying something new and you're just not used to it at first. Well, imagine you're 10 years old, you get a haircut, or who knows how old he is. I would imagine about 10 years old, maybe 9. And you have to go to school the next day with just like a patch of hair right here.
you
And
know what?
nothing else.
She was trash for cutting his hair like that to begin with. That's why I said they're awful. That is horrible. Why did she do him like that? And he's got to
to,
go to school in clothes that are 4 sizes too big.
to
Come
cover up
on.
that hideous scar.
So wrong. So wrong. She did
And
him so wrong.
poor baby though, like he's just stressing out in the bed, right? Stressing out, not probably not sleeping. And all of that stress causes him to grow his hair back to exactly what it looked like before she got it. That's amazing.
It's
That's
awesome.
I love it. But yeah, so like you see all of these things, right? Like the inconsistencies with how they raise the kids, even though they live in the same household. Like, I mean,
There's no pictures of Harry at all.
no pictures of Harry or his parents.
None. All the pictures in the house are just the 3 Dursleys.
And then what kind of presents does Harry get for his birthday?
Oh my God. We haven't gotten to see that yet in the book, but it's definitely not the racing bike, computer games, VCR, second TV, computer, and all the things that Dudley got for his birthday. When he threw
Yeah.
the fit that he only had 36 presents, he had 37 last year.
Yeah, but then don't forget Aunt Marge's present, which makes 37.
And they were going to get him 2 more presents when they go out, which makes 39.
Which makes.
And the stupid fool couldn't even count. Yep, he was like 30, 30. And Petunia goes, 39, Pumpkin?
Yeah.
Great.
He can't
He's an
even do
idiot,
math.
too. He's an idiot, too. Great.
Little tyke.
Little tyke. They're awful. They're awful people.
So,
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, later we find out that Harry receives such ridiculous presents as tissue. One year he gets like a single tissue.
A 50-cent piece one year.
He gets a pair of
or whatever the equivalent
socks.
is. Yeah, a pair of old socks.
A hanger.
A rubber band, I think.
Basically not 39 presents. Good ones either.
No. And then it's like, so like, is it good? So see, this is the thing. They remember his birthday and they could just ignore him and not pay any attention to him.
Yeah.
But no, we can't do that. We have to give you an insult of a gift instead. And that's why I'm like, that they're just awful. Like, he'd be better off if you just didn't give him anything.
Well, you know what else they could have given him as a gift? Okay, the best gift that they could have given him? A new pair of glasses. Why? Because their kid broke his glasses, right? Their kid.
There's a whole other thing with that too. Why don't you stop your stupid kid from beating him up?
Yeah.
They're awful people. They're awful people.
But I mean, it's
McGonagall got it 100% right. They're the worst kinds of them.
Beating Harry up, breaking his glasses, and they don't replace them, even as a birthday present.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Another thing, like, they could have also, as he was growing up, like we talked about, all of the imagination and them trying to stomp it out, stifle it, right?
Yeah.
Not wanting to talk about it ever, not wanting to discuss.
Don't ask questions.
Don't ask questions. No pictures of his parents, no pictures of Harry as a baby. Obviously, there's zero love there, right? No love lost there between anybody. But they could have also, like Harry asks how his parents died. And even a question like how his parents died, it has, I mean, yes, it has to do with magic because it has to do with like the main plot of the book. But they could have told him that they had been murdered, right? They could have told him that there was like, they didn't have to tell him by who, or like they didn't have to say.
They could have told him it was a home invasion because it was.
Exactly.
But no, car crash.
A car crash. Sad.
A car crash.
Yeah.
Well, Hagrid will handle that in one of the upcoming chapters.
Very soon. Very soon.
What's your takeaway from this chapter?
Honestly, like my absolute favorite um moral life lesson that we get here is very Lady Gaga. We were talking about it before, like you were born this way, right? So the fact that they try so hard to stifle out Harry's uniqueness, Harry's powers, Harry's abilities, who he is, like you can see just how strong of a wizard he's going to be because of all of the little things that happen to him when he is stressed out or upset or whatever. Um, but like why put yourself through so much stress trying to change what is? Like I really
When you
like
could just
all of the
be.
huge lessons that Harry Potter brings us in other that we can like apply to other aspects of our lives.
Yeah. That's
And
one of the
yours.
reasons I love the series, period.
Yeah.
Um, because there are a lot of moral things that are in there. And so my takeaway is similar, but not exactly the same. I love how humble Harry always is. Like, he just, he, like, just like the lemon ice pop. You know what I mean? He was just so glad to have it. And
Yeah.
even hanging out at the zoo, he just was like enjoying being there, enjoying looking at the animals, making sure he steered clear of Dudley so Dudley wasn't beating up on him. Like, just, he's so, he had all of the makings of being a terrible person too, and he's not. And I love
Right.
that,
But
if that makes
again,
sense.
is it because Dumbledore left him at the Dursleys instead of being raised by a wizarding family?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like that, I feel like has a huge uh part in his makeup
Like
because
maybe
he
that's why
sees.
Dumbledore did it.
Well, yeah, because he gets to see nastiness from afar, from like an outsider's perspective. Well, an insider outsider's perspective. Like he gets to see it firsthand, but he also can analyze how that type of behavior, like righteous behavior, is not good for anyone, right? That self righteous kind of behavior. And he gets to see how acting so self-important like Dudley is something that would be frowned upon. Like he can judge that for himself. And that really plays a large part in who he is, I think.
Yeah, being ignored and being in the shadows, he gets to observe a lot and draw his own conclusions.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the same thing happens later when he gets to school and says, I think I can choose my own friends.
Yes, that's exactly it. He
Yeah,
gets to be a better judge of character for how he's been raised.
yeah, true that. True that. Ay, ay, ay. All right, what time is it?
It's magical mischief time.